The false perception. The stars had never seemed so cold. Admiral Helena Chen stood on the observation deck of the ESS Defiant, Earth's flagship, hidden within the rings of Saturn. For decades, humanity had played a careful game within the galactic community. While other species boasted of their technological prowess and military might, Earth maintained a facade of peaceful mediocrity, a world focused on arts, culture, and minor technological advancements. This calculated deception had served Earth well. In a galaxy filled with empires constantly vying for dominance, appearing harmless was sometimes the best defense. The Galactic Council barely paid attention to the small blue planet, considering it a minor player in cosmic politics. That was exactly how Earth's United Defense Council wanted it. Admiral, the Crixian fleet has entered the solar system. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with tension. Their armada is massive, at least 200 warships approaching Mars orbit. Chen nodded, her expression unchanged. The Crixians were notorious expansionists, a warrior race that had conquered 17 systems in the past Earth decade. Now they had set their sights on humanity's home. Have they sent their customary demands? She asked. Yes, Admiral. The standard terms of surrender. Earth to become a protectorate of the Crixian Empire, surrender of all military assets, and implementation of resource extraction quotas. Rodriguez hesitated. They've given us 12 hours to comply. Chen smiled thinly. And what was the Council's response? President Okafor has delivered our official statement of compliance. As far as the Crixians know, Earth is preparing for a peaceful transition of power. Perfect. Chen turned from the viewport. Initiate Phoenix Protocol. Alert all commanders. The Shadow Fleet awakens today. For 30 years, humanity had been building in secret, while Earth presented older, conventional defense systems publicly, deep within asteroid belts, hidden moon bases, and the dark side of planetary rings. They constructed a fleet unlike any the galaxy had seen. The United Defense Council, formed after first contact with alien life, had predicted this moment would come. The Crixian Empire's warships approached Earth with confidence. Their sensors detected only minimal defensive capabilities, a scattering of outdated orbital platforms, a small fleet of conventional ships. Nothing that could hope to stand against their advanced weaponry and shielding technology. High Admiral Vexlar of the Crixian Empire sat smugly in his command chair, viewing the blue planet on his display. Earth was rumored to have beautiful landscapes and abundant resources, perfect for the Empire's needs. The humans would serve well in the labor pits of Crixius Prime. High Admiral, his second-in-command reported, Earth's leaders have agreed to our terms. They request a formal meeting to arrange the transfer of authority. Vexlar nodded. As expected, these humans are known throughout the sector for their weakness. They prefer art and philosophy to the glory of battle. He stood, his imposing armor gleaming under the bridge lights. Prepare my shuttle. I will accept their surrender personally. The Crixian delegation landed at the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, escorted by a contingent of their fearsome soldiers. President Aisha Okafor welcomed them with appropriate deference, her cabinet standing behind her, with expressions of resignation and fear. High Admiral Vexlar, Okafor said, her voice seemingly strained. Earth welcomes you and acknowledges the superiority of the Crixian Empire. We are prepared to comply with your demands. Vexlar's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Your wisdom serves you well, human. Your species will find the Empire's rule firm but fair for those who obey. Before we proceed, Okafor continued, might I ask what prompted the Crixian interest in our humble system? We have little to offer an empire as mighty as yours. Vexlar gestured dismissively. You undervalue yourselves. Your world is resource-rich, strategically positioned, and will serve as an excellent forward base for our continued expansion. Your people's renowned adaptability will make you useful servants. As the formal proceedings continued, Vexlar remained oblivious to the small earpiece Okafor wore, through which she received a single message: Shadow Fleet in position. The first indication that something was wrong came when Crixian Command lost contact with their rear guard ships. 3 cruisers stationed at the edge of the solar system went silent simultaneously. Vexillar received the alert during the surrender ceremony, but dismissed it as a communications glitch. Then 6 more ships disappeared from their network. High Admiral, his communications officer interrupted urgently. We're detecting numerous energy signatures emerging throughout the system. They're coming from everywhere. The asteroid belt, Jupiter's moons, Earth's moon, even their orbital debris fields. Vexillar turned to President Okafor, his expression darkening. What treachery is this? Okafor's demeanor transformed before his eyes, the mask of submission falling away to reveal steel beneath. No treachery, High Admiral. Just a fundamental misunderstanding on your part. You see, humans have learned through our history that appearing weak often provides the greatest strategic advantage. On cue, the building's security forces surrounded the Crixian delegation, not with primitive projectile weapons as expected, but with advanced energy rifles that hummed with power. This is impossible, Vexillar hissed. Your technology is decades behind ours. Publicly, yes, Okafor replied. We've cultivated that perception carefully. It's amazing what a species can accomplish when they're not busy boasting about their accomplishments. In space, the true might of humanity revealed itself. Ships emerged from hidden docks within moons, from camouflaged hangars on Mars, and from the dark side of Earth's moon. The Shadow Fleet, humanity's true defense force, consisted of over 500 vessels of varying classes, each built with technology that had been developed in absolute secrecy. Admiral Chen watched from the Defiant as the fleet took formation. All ships, this is Shadow Command. Execute Operation Chimera. Battle groups Alpha through Delta engage Crixian forward elements. Echo and Foxtrot establish defensive perimeter around Earth. Ghost Wing, you have hunting permission. On the Crixian command ship, chaos erupted as reports flooded in. Their supposedly easy conquest had transformed into a nightmare. Human vessels appeared from hidden locations throughout the solar system, moving with impossible speed and precision. Their weapons, technology the Crixians had never encountered, cut through Crixian shields with terrifying efficiency. High Admiral, the communications officer reported, panic evident in his voice. Battle Group 3 has been completely destroyed. Battle Groups 1 and 4 are reporting heavy losses. The humans, they're everywhere. Vexillar's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. How could they have been so wrong? Intelligence had confirmed Earth was a minor power with minimal defensive capabilities. Return to the ship immediately, he ordered his delegation, but President Okafor shook her head. I'm afraid that won't be possible, High Admiral. Your shuttle has been impounded, and your command ship is currently engaged with 3 of our destroyers. As if to emphasize her point, the building trembled slightly as a distant explosion lit up the sky. Another Crixian vessel falling to Earth's hidden fleet. In the darkness of space, Earth's ships moved with precision that spoke of years of preparation. While the Crixian ships were larger and more heavily armed, the human vessels were faster and more maneuverable. They attacked in coordinated groups, striking from multiple vectors, then dispersing before the Crixians could concentrate their fire. Admiral Chen's tactical brilliance became apparent as the battle unfolded. The Shadow Fleet had been designed specifically to counter the known capabilities of potential aggressors. For the Crixians, whose ships relied on powerful forward-facing weapons arrays, this meant attacks from behind and below, exploiting blind spots in their defenses. Ghost Wing, status report, Chen demanded, watching the tactical display as a group of stealth fighters penetrated deep into Crixian formation. Target acquired. Admiral, came the response. Enemy flagship shields at 40% and falling. Request permission to deliver the package. Permission granted, Chen replied. Let's introduce the High Admiral to humanity's particular brand of innovation. The package was a cybernetic attack drone, a technology unique to Earth. While other species focused on developing more powerful weapons, humanity had quietly perfected the art of electronic warfare. The drone attached itself to the hull of Vexillar's flagship, bypassed external defenses, and infiltrated the ship's systems. Within minutes, the Crixian flagship went dark, its weapons and engines disabled by the invasive code. Throughout the Crixian fleet, confusion spread as command and control collapsed. Back in Geneva, Vexillar received the news of his flagship's defeat with disbelief. "This is impossible," he repeated. "Your species is primitive, your technology inferior." President Okafor smiled coldly. "A common misconception about humans, High Admiral, is that we display all that we are capable of. We do not. We have learned through countless wars among ourselves that visible strength invites challenge. True power lies in what your enemy doesn't know you possess until it's too late." As the battle in space turned decisively against the Crixian armada, Vexillar finally understood the magnitude of their miscalculation. Earth hadn't been an easy target. It had been a carefully laid trap, and the mighty Crixian Empire had walked right into it. The first day of battle ended with the Crixian fleet in disarray, nearly a third of their ships destroyed or disabled, and the rest falling back to regroup beyond Mars. High Admiral Vexillar, now a prisoner of Earth, watched in stunned silence as President Okafor received battle reports. "You should understand something, High Admiral," Okafor said quietly. "Humans have never united more completely than when faced with an external threat. You came to conquer us, thinking us weak and unprepared." She leaned closer. "That was your first and last mistake." In the depths of space, Admiral Chen gave the order for the next phase of the battle plan. The Shadow Fleet moved into pursuit formation, preparing to press their advantage. The Crixians had underestimated Earth, believing their own propaganda about human weakness. Now they would learn just how costly that error would be. "All ships," Chen commanded, her voice resolute, "advance and engage. Show them what happens when you threaten our home." The turning tide. The Crixian Empire had conquered 17 star systems before setting their sights on Earth. Each conquest had followed the same pattern: overwhelming force, quick capitulation, and efficient subjugation. Never in their expansionist history had they faced a response like this. As the second day of battle dawned, the remnants of the Crixian invasion fleet had retreated to the orbit of Mars, regrouping and attempting to make sense of their situation. Commander Dresnar, now in charge following High Admiral Vexillar's capture, reviewed the battle data with growing concern. "This is impossible," he muttered, echoing his captured leader's words. "Their technology, it shouldn't exist. Our intelligence indicated they were at least 50 cycles behind our development." "The humans deceived everyone, Commander," his science officer replied. "Not just us. They'd been hiding their true capabilities from the entire Galactic Council." Dresnar clicked his mandibles in frustration. "Send a distress signal to the homeworld. Request reinforcements, our entire Third Fleet. We will not be humiliated by these primitives." The message was sent, but Dresnar was unaware that human electronic countermeasures were already at work. The distress call never left the solar system. Admiral Helena Chen monitored the Crixian movements from the ESS Defiant. The first phase of Earth's defense had exceeded expectations, but she knew better than to underestimate the Crixians. They were warriors bred for conquest, and they would not accept defeat easily. "They're regrouping faster than anticipated," her tactical officer noted. "Sensor readings indicate they're reconfiguring their shield harmonics. They're adapting to our weapons." Chen nodded. "This was expected. Implement Hydra Protocol. All ships rotate to secondary weapon configurations." This was another aspect of humanity's secret preparation. While other species typically developed a single superior weapons technology, Earth had deliberately created multiple weapon systems with different operating principles. When one became less effective, they simply switched to another. As the Shadow Fleet advanced toward Mars, the Crixian forces launched their counterattack. They had adjusted their tactics, spreading their formation to prevent the concentrated strikes that had proven so effective earlier. Their ships advanced with renewed confidence, energy weapons blazing across the void. But the human fleet responded with a new attack pattern. Instead of the precision strikes of before, they unleashed a barrage of unconventional weapons: electromagnetic pulse warheads, quantum disruption torpedoes, and gravitic distortion bombs. Technologies the Crixians had never encountered and had no prepared defenses against. "What is this?" Dresnar demanded as reports of failing systems cascaded across his command console. "How do they have so many different weapon types?" The answer, had he known it, was simple but profound. Humanity's divisive history had been its greatest teacher. Thousands of years of warfare among themselves had bred a species that never stopped innovating ways to defeat their enemies. When Earth finally united and turned that innovative spirit toward defense against external threats, the result was a military force unlike any in the galaxy. On Earth, President Okafor addressed the United Nations, now serving as the central command for the planet's defense. "The Crixian forces are being contained, but we've intercepted communications suggesting they've called for reinforcements. We must prepare for a longer conflict." Meanwhile, on the handful of Earth outposts that the Crixians had managed to capture during their initial assault, primarily research stations on Mars and mining operations in the asteroid belt, resistance had already begun. Civilian workers, secretly trained for such contingencies, engaged in sabotage and guerrilla tactics against their occupiers. The Crixians, expecting docile submission based on their experiences with other conquered species, were unprepared for the ferocity of human resistance. Every piece of equipment mysteriously malfunctioned. Supply lines were disrupted. Crixian soldiers found themselves ambushed by miners armed with repurposed industrial equipment. Commander Dresnar received increasingly desperate reports from these outposts. The humans refused to accept their place. One officer reported before his transmission was abruptly cut off. "They fight with no regard for their own lives. It's as if they don't understand they're beaten." Because they don't believe they are, Dresnar realized, a new understanding dawning. And perhaps they're right. The battle above Mars reached its climax as Earth's Shadow Fleet engaged the main Crixian force. Space itself seemed to warp and distort as exotic weapons discharge. Ships maneuvered with impossible precision, and the void filled with the silent fury of battle. Admiral Chen stood resolute on her bridge, directing the flow of combat with a calm efficiency that had earned her command of humanity's greatest fleet. "Focus fire on their command ships," she ordered. "Cut the head off the snake." The ESS Defiant, leading a squadron of heavy cruisers, punched through the Crixian lines, targeting the new command ship. The Crixians fought valiantly, but they were fighting an enemy they didn't understand. An enemy that had spent generations preparing specifically for this moment. As the battle raged, a new threat emerged from the depths of the Crixian formation. A massive vessel, nearly twice the size of any previously seen, moved ponderously forward. The Crixian dreadnought Worldbreaker, their ultimate weapon, had activated its main cannon. A planet-killing weapon designed to shatter worlds and end resistance with a single demonstration of power. "Energy readings off the scale," reported Chen's science officer, her voice tight. "They're targeting Earth directly. Estimated firing time, 3 minutes." Chen's expression didn't change. "Deploy Thanatos Squadron." From the shadow of Phobos, one of Mars' moons, 12 ships unlike any others in the human fleet emerged. They were smaller, faster, and built for a single purpose. Each carried a singularity warhead, the most closely guarded secret of Earth's defense program. "Thanatos Squadron, you have one objective," Chen transmitted. "The enemy dreadnought must not fire its main weapon, whatever the cost." The squadron accelerated to speeds that strained the structural integrity of their hulls, pilots pushing their ships beyond designed limits. The Crixians, recognizing the threat, diverted significant forces to intercept, but they were too slow. The human ships were already among them, weaving through defensive fire with suicidal determination. 3 of the Thanatos ships were destroyed before reaching their target. 4 more fell to the dreadnought's point defense systems, but five reached the massive vessel, attaching themselves to its hull like remeras on a shark. The Singularity warheads detonated simultaneously. They didn't explode in the conventional sense. Instead, they created localized, temporary singularities, miniature black holes that existed for mere seconds before collapsing. But those seconds were enough. The dreadnought world-breaker was torn apart from within, massive sections of its hull imploding before the remnants exploded outward in a spectacular display of destruction. The psychological impact was immediate. The Crixian fleet, already battered and confused, watched their ultimate weapon, a ship believed to be invincible, disappear in a reality-distorting cataclysm. Their resistance crumbled. Commander Dresnar, watching from his command ship, made the only decision he could. All vessels, cease fire. Transmit surrender on all frequencies. Within hours, the remaining Crixian ships had powered down their weapons and accepted Earth's terms. The invasion that was supposed to be a simple conquest had turned into the Crixian Empire's greatest defeat. In Geneva, President Okafor stood before High Admiral Vexlar, who had watched the battle's conclusion with disbelief. "Your reinforcements won't be coming," she informed him. "We've deployed a quantum entanglement field at the edge of our system. No messages in or out until we decide otherwise." "You've doomed yourselves," Vexlar warned, though his voice lacked conviction. "When the Empire learns of this, they will send fleets beyond counting." "Perhaps," Okafor acknowledged, "but they will find we are not the easy conquest you anticipated. And now we have your ships to study, your technology to adapt, and most importantly," she leaned closer, "now the galaxy knows that humanity is not to be underestimated." In the aftermath, as Earth began the process of securing their solar system and integrating captured Crixian technology, Admiral Chen and President Okafor met aboard the ESS Defiant. "The Shadow Fleet performed beyond expectations," Chen reported. "Casualties were significant but acceptable." Okafor nodded, looking out at the stars. Stars that now held new meaning for humanity. "How long until the Crixians return, do you think?" "Years, perhaps decades," Chen replied. "They'll want to understand what happened here first, and they'll approach with far more caution next time. By then, we'll be ready." Okafor's expression was determined. "The facade of Earth's weakness ends today. It's time the galaxy understood who we truly are." As news of the battle spread throughout the galactic community, perceptions shifted dramatically. Species that had dismissed humans as an unremarkable civilization now reassessed their understanding. Trade negotiations suddenly became more favorable to Earth. Diplomatic overtures arrived from empires that had previously ignored humanity's existence. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session, with Earth's representatives finally invited to the inner chambers, where major powers deliberated. The message was clear. Humanity had earned its place among the stars. And in the vast emptiness of space, Earth's Shadow Fleet continued its vigilant patrol, no longer hidden but proudly visible, a warning to any who might mistake humanity's previous discretion for weakness. The stars had never seemed so bright or so full of promise. The Crixians had made a fatal error. They had judged Earth by its appearance rather than its potential. They had seen a planet of artists, philosophers, and seemingly modest technology. They had failed to recognize that humanity's greatest strength lay not in the weapons they displayed, but in their boundless capacity for innovation when threatened. They had underestimated Earth, and the galaxy would not soon forget the consequences.